joining us today. I'm going to get started here. So today's webinar is how to differentiate and communicate your offering. So how to make yourself like an authority online, how to communicate your value online. Just some housekeeping. If you have questions during the presentation, type them into the chat box and we will answer them at the end of the presentation during the Q&A. Or we have Taylor on board here too, so she might be also able to answer your questions. Are you struggling to communicate everything your company offers? Like I said, I know that you guys are delivering so much value. Typically, you're not communicating it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Maybe you think you are losing work to your competition. Are you feeling like you're losing work to your competition? Maybe they're communicating it better than you are. Or maybe you don't know what makes your company unique. I know that's a tough one because you feel like everybody's delivering the same thing. I tell you from taking like so many designers through strategy, you are not all delivering the same thing. All of you are unique. All of you have what I call your own superpowers, where you have your own twist on what you are delivering. Need to communicate that. If you're not communicating the unique value of your services in your marketing, how do you expect your prospects to understand it? And this is super important because you know, when they're just looking at an image, like if your website just has photos and no content and, you know, not a professional brand, let's say, then people are going to look at that photo and they're not going to know what you did. They're not going to know, did you move some walls? Did you just purchase furniture? Did you take them shopping? Are those custom pieces? Like, they don't know the background story. You need to be telling your story. Each one of you has your own unique story, process, and solution, right? It's all unique, each one of you. If you haven't been to one of our webinars before, I'm Deborah Scarpa from Home Designer Marketing. Next to me is Ashley. She is our operations manager. We also have multiple team members, Taylor, Natalie, programming team, a pretty large team to deliver amazing work. We help interior designers completely transform their brands to get found online, win their dream clients, and work smarter by streamlining their processes. Our team guides your business to success with custom branding, logos, websites, local SEO, social media, email marketing, and improving processes. There's a lot to marketing these days. There's so much that needs to be done in order to move the needle. We work super hard for our clients to get results from what is done. This course is NKBA approved. We're super excited about that. So if you need, Taylor's going to put in chat like the information, course title, instructor, which is me, delivery method, CEU credits. She'll put that into chat. We'll also be emailing that out with the recording, so along with the certificate that you might need to report. Today's agenda: your unique offer, what makes your company unique, what's unique about your services and or products. You know, are you exceptional at a specific design style? Are you an expert on a specific types of projects? What's unique about your processes? What's unique about your team? Like all those, you know, you need to be communicating what you're delivering. Taylor is also going to put into chat a link to sign up for our free brand website and SEO audit. If you haven't taken advantage of that, we, you know, try to give you a lot of clarity on what's working, what's not working, what needs to be changed in order to reach your goals. What is your story and how are you communicating it? And I'm going to go through all the details of everything. I just want you to really think about this whole webinar is really structured the same as our content strategy meetings, like our brand strategy meetings. So telling your unique story, like the first step is going through strategy and then writing the content. So how is your company being perceived online? How are your prospects perceiving your company online? I'm going to go over some before and afters just so you understand the differences. So like, here's a website before, and here's a website afterwards. So are your prospects perceiving you as like a hobbyist, somebody who's kind of not very serious about their business, not taking on big projects? Maybe, you know, if somebody came to this website, they wouldn't value and see this person as an authority as much as here, right? If they come to this website, it's perceived that this company does larger projects, even charges more, right? The trust that this website is building is so much more than here, right? Here. And it doesn't matter what style you do, it is having that professional website that is going to position you as an authority in, you know, for your services. How is your brand positioned? So again, online, is it positioned as building like more trust to bring on those larger projects, luxury services, larger projects, larger investments? Or like, is it perceived as, you know, building less trust, affordable services, smaller projects, smaller investments? You know, that can be, you know, when it's being perceived, it could be like the sites that I just showed you, the overall look and feel of the whole brand and the content. Like there's several things that build that trust. Even the photography is going to help build that trust. Strategically position your brand. This is what strategy is for. It's for strategically positioning your brand. Again, I wanted to show you an example so you can really feel the difference between the two. So a website before, who looks more like a hobbyist, and the website afterwards. Again, You know, it doesn't matter what style, right? The one that I showed you before was completely different than this one. But you would expect, if you found this website, this company online, you would expect to pay more for these services from this company versus this one, right? This one you wouldn't trust as much as this one. And I really want to emphasize that, because a lot of people will think, well, I'll get the job when, you know, when I am in this during the sales process of when I'm talking to them. Well, you might not even have the ability to have that conversation, because what somebody's going to do is they're going to pull up a bunch of websites. They're going to search online just like you would at a restaurant. They're going to search interior designer near me or in a certain location. They're going to look for whoever has the best reviews. They're going to open up the websites, maybe 3 to 5 websites that have the best reviews. And then they're going to give each website, when they open it up, 3 to 10 seconds. Am I interested? Am I not interested? If they're not interested, they're just going to close that tab. You won't have a conversation with them. So it's super important to work on those Google reviews, on getting your Google business profile optimized, to having that professional website that is going to build trust and get you those bigger projects. In order to do that, you need to do strategy first, right? Position your brand to attract your ideal clients. Strategically positioning your brand. Make what you offer and how you deliver it unique. So we need to tell that story. You're probably already doing it. We just need to tell that story. So steps to positioning your brand. I know we talked about this already a little bit. 1, strategy. Position your brand to attract your ideal client. 2, build your brand. So create your brand assets to tell your unique story and build trust. Assets would include your logo, the copywriting, the website, you know, your social media pages, your Google business profile. 3, driving traffic. Consistently stay in front of your ideal clients and improve your processes. So it takes all these 3. We're going to be talking about strategy today, but strategy is planning, you know, how you're going to position your brand. Building, step 2, is about building all those assets out, creating all those, building the foundation. Step 3 is super important, to consistently drive traffic. For example, if you want, I know I get a lot of people asking for SEO, right? For SEO is more about driving traffic, which is step 3. You need to work on step 1 and 2 before you can really drive traffic, which is 3. You want to make sure that you do it in order, because if you start driving traffic to a website that's not going to build trust, you're just going to waste your money. You're just going to waste like that effort and those resources, because the website has to be positioned correctly and built correctly to build that trust, so it converts and gets that conversation going. If your website isn't working well, then you're going to drive traffic and they're just going to go to the website and close the tab. And I just can't emphasize that enough, because I want you guys to be successful, and doing it in order is super important. What makes your company unique? So Do you specialize in a specific style? Are you really good at color, window coverings, tile, flooring, furniture, accessories? What are you really good at? I know when we're going with clients and we're going through our strategy process and clients are talking about what they offer and they might think it's no big deal. And like our team is all of a sudden going, oh my gosh, wow, you're doing that. We haven't, had other designers who are doing it that way. Right. And, it might be something that's really unique to them that really helps them deliver a better end product. So let me give an example of that. Like, for example, I'm the logo designer. So we have a super unique process for our logo designs. I have never talked to another designer that does it this way. It gives us an advantage because our process is so much better than other people's. So for example, when I'm working on a logo, I'll work on it for a couple of weeks. Then we have an online meeting together with the client, and I call it a working meeting, and I actually make changes to the logo as the client's in the meeting with me. That's super unique to us, and I've never heard of anybody else doing it. Gives us a huge advantage, right? Because then I can say, like, I can guarantee the results that they're going to be in love with it. I can, it cuts down on costs, so we can like offer it for less because we're not going back and forth. I can take the person's input. So think about something that's like super, is there something really unique that you're doing that we could communicate that could give you like an edge over like everybody else? And sometimes it takes like working with somebody. It's hard to do strategy on yourself. Like, it's good to be working with somebody going through a strategy process. Do you specialize in one area of the home or a specific niche? Like maybe you specialize in restaurants, or maybe you specialize in remodels. What is it that you love to do? What type of projects are you really good at delivering? You want to lean into those. Do you offer, like, if you're all over the place, it's hard to really pick up momentum. Maybe you're really, really good at kitchens and bathrooms. Do you offer full service, virtual design, decorating, consultations? If there's something that you're really not great at, it's not that profitable, it's not bringing in clients to like buy the services that you want, maybe you shouldn't be even communicating that you're offering them. It doesn't mean when you're marketing, this is something that people get confused about. When you're marketing, you don't like, just because you're not, let's say I don't want to do decorating, right? And then maybe I don't want to communicate it on my website, but if somebody called me and asked me, do I want to do a decorating project? It doesn't mean I still can't do it. I could still do that decorating project if it seemed like it was going to be a good project for me. It's just, that's not who you're, like, the services you're trying to bring in. So you're not marketing to them. Do you manage the whole project? Do you do project management? Do you, maybe you don't. What's unique about your services? And here I just want you guys to really think about, are you offering everything? Try to narrow it down, trying to get more specific, try to build momentum, and try to communicate You know, I can't tell you how many websites I look at and maybe they have full service as what they're offering, and then they have just a couple of sentences underneath, you know, communicating what their full service includes. And then, you know, they're charging a lot for their full services, right? So to me, that isn't lining up. Like if I'm a client and I think, oh, well, you're hardly doing anything for your full service, like services. So then as a client, I'm thinking, you know, why should I expect to pay you very much if I don't really think that you're doing very much, right? So if you're communicating, obviously you don't have to communicate every step, but if you're communicating like the value that you're offering, then it would make more sense. Okay, that makes more sense. I really do need that person because I wouldn't be able to do that myself. So I need to pay this person, and I can see why they're charging so much because they're communicating all these different steps that they're going to be doing. So full service, remodel, custom home, kitchens, bathrooms. What are you offering and what are you not offering? What's unique about your products that you offer? Furniture, like, is it custom? Are you taking them shopping? You know, there's such a huge range. Let people know what you're willing to do. Also, that'll help communicate what you don't do. Do you select art? We've talked to a lot of designers. Some are like, no, I'm definitely not doing that. Some love doing that and have like, you know, connections with certain artists. You know, there's just such a variety, and there's no right and wrong, because your ideal clients are going to be attracted to you because of what you're offering, as long as you're communicating it. You know, cabinetry, how custom is it? Lighting, what's the quality, the performance, the durability? Are you moving walls? Are you exceptional at a specific like design style? We talk to so many designers that they have a specific way that they uncover like what would be the best style for their clients, or they make it really unique and custom to that client. So some designers are offering, like, they do multiple different types of styles or a combination, and some, you know, are really pretty set into like a couple different types of styles. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just communicating what you're offering is really important. And, you know, especially when it comes to like different projects and styles and everything, even like if you're offering multiple styles on your website, like on your portfolio page, it might be laid out different than if you're offering, like, you know, we have some designers where the projects all look, you know, they can all look like they kind of go together, right? Because the styles are pretty close. And then we have other designers where the styles are so different for each project, just really, really different. Like that portfolio page needs to be laid out differently to tell that story, that they're different versus the same. Are you an expert on specific types of projects? So, and what type of projects have you been doing for years that maybe you're really good at? So renovations, new construction, custom homes, commercial kitchens, bathrooms. Maybe it's restaurants, wineries, Airbnbs, vacation homes. There's so many different types. What are you really good at? Strategically position your brand. So what is unique about your process? This is really important because communicating your process, like when I was talking about the logo design that we offer, that process builds trust. So think about, if you have a process and you should, and you're communicating that helps build trust, because having a process shows that you have done it before, you have like certain steps. That process is making sure that, you know, your level of quality control is higher, you know, that you're going to deliver that end result. And that's why it's so important to, if you're offering every type of services, it's very difficult to get really good at a specific process, like setting up processes. If you're like, let's say you're really good at kitchens and you're doing kitchens over and over and over, you're going to get exceptionally good at those processes, and really, you know, make sure, like I would trust somebody who's delivered 1 million kitchens like over and over and has set processes to do a kitchen project than somebody who does everything and isn't specific for kitchens, right? What is unique about your process? So think about each of the steps, and if you haven't done this before, hopefully you have, but you know, really write down those processes and have them documented. Consultation. So how do you learn about their project goals, style, needs, the view of the space, discuss costs, contract, how do you estimate, create a proposal, start a project, design, what steps are included in your design process. So how many options do you provide? What is delivered? Project management. You know, how do you manage the project? How do you manage vendors, contractors, and installation? Like, what is your role during the installation? You have like a reveal. I know with COVID that's been difficult, but you know, what is your process? Communicating in as much detail as possible, and then making it, communicating that is super important. Your unique customer service process. So think about, it's also going to build trust, how you communicate with clients. If, like, whether you're working with them or even during the sales process, if you're not getting back to people in a timely manner, if you're, you know, if it's hard to get a hold of you, if you're, you know, not setting realistic expectations, like all these things, like done right, build trust. Are you easy and professional to work with? Is it easy to understand your offer? Is it easy to sign a contract and take payments? This is super important. I know that even for myself and my husband, like several years ago, we were going to hire somebody for, you know, a pretty big project. And we had picked out this one company, and it was super hard to communicate with them. And I was actually trying to get a contract and an estimate and to pay them a deposit, right? And I was having a really hard time. And finally, I was like, there's no way I can work with this company. If they can't communicate with me during the sales process, it's going to be very difficult to communicate with them once the project starts. So we actually canceled everything and went with somebody else who was fantastic at communicating and had better processes set up for their, for everything. And that went really well. So just sharing a personal story of how that can impact a sale, whether it's a positive or, negative, right? So your unique contract and billing process, do you accept, like, how do you accept payments? Do you accept credit cards? Do you accept, how do they sign contracts online, in person? Think about making your customer service, think about making it easy for somebody to work with you and communicating the steps, communicating how that is going to work. What type of terms are included in the contract? How are purchases made? Are you able to get items below retail pricing? Can you cancel or return an order easily? How are like scope of work changes handled? What guarantees do you provide? There is so many details that need to be communicated. If they are, they can, and some of them you don't need to have all of it on your website, right? All the details, but then think about when they should learn about like specific information. Like some of this might be your guarantees and everything. Maybe you're communicating some of that in your, in your sales process, definitely in your contracts. But all these things build trust. Your unique design process. So I'm sure you have a design process. You need to communicate it. That also builds trust. Mood boards, color, how you're doing your drawings. Like, do you offer 3D drawings? How realistic are they? I mean, if I'm working with somebody and they offered 3D, drawings and they're pretty accurate, right? That would build more trust, because then I would be able to see the project before it was delivered. So if you're offering something like that, it can make the difference between somebody going with you and somebody not. Space planning, are you exceptional at space planning? That's, all these things, if you're communicating them, like if you're not exceptional, if somebody's exceptional at space planning, right, they're going to make sure that there's less mistakes for when the project is completed. So, for example, I'll tell another story of like the people that designed, it wasn't me, like my kitchen, like you can't open up like the refrigerator and the oven at the same time, right? It's a big space planning like problem. So like communicating that to your prospects about how educating them on how important space planning is and the steps that you take to make sure that those mistakes don't happen, can really make a difference and build a lot of trust. Your unique consultation process. So what is unique about it? Is it free? Do you do, sometimes, on the website, people will call it like a consultation, but really it's a 15-minute qualification call. And then it's a paid in-home consultation. I mean, that's what we recommend. That's what typically everybody is offering. But still, you need to communicate what you are offering. Like, do you do on-site visits? Do you have like client intakes or surveys? When do you discuss the scope of work, the start date, timelines, all of that? If you have it, and think about this too, that we find when we have somebody come through strategy and we're working on developing their content, they usually get better at their sales. And the reason why is because now they have like written out, they have content written out that communicates their value. And so they can start also using that content during their sales process. So that almost always happens. It helps people get clear, having really good copy that is strategically positioned correctly, helps people, designers, communicate their value to their prospects during that sales process. Your project management and installation process. So what are you doing? What are you not doing? Are you overseeing it? How often are you on site? Are you reviewing drawings with contractors? Are you the middleman between the client and the contractors? Are you, coordinating, setting things up, scheduling, handling like changes, managing the furniture, all of those things? What's unique about your team? So who is on your team? What type of contractors, subcontractors, installers? Are you willing to work with their team? Do you have a team that you could recommend? Are you a design build? What is it that you're offering? So what is unique and amazing about your team? How experienced is your team? What are your team members' responsibilities? Does your team have a unique way of communicating? How long have you worked with your team? I mean, I know for myself, like Ashley and I have been working together for over 9 years, and like Taylor has been for over 4 years, working with team members for multiple years, definitely communicating that builds a lot more trust in like for the prospect. Strategically positioning your brand. Again, strategy is key to positioning your business to attract your ideal clients. It is key. If we don't know like who we are attracting, if we're not going through all our services and everything that we're offering and our processes and communicating that, then I mean, someone's not going to understand why you're charging so much. Strategy is key to telling your unique story and communicating your value. Again, if you're not communicating the unique value of your services in your marketing, how do you expect your prospects to understand it? How do you expect your prospects to see you as an authority? Why should they pay more if they don't understand all the value, all the things that you're doing? Right? It doesn't make sense for somebody to, spend a lot, invest a lot in something when they don't see the value, like they don't understand everything that you're doing. They think you're doing much less work than you really are doing. I mean, you probably would be the same, where you wouldn't pay somebody to do, work for you if you didn't understand everything, all the steps, all the value that they were offering. Then you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I understand why they're charging that much to get that result. All right, so here, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned a lot. Strategy is the key, number one step to getting results. I'm Deborah Scarpa. Taylor is going to put in chat the link to sign up for our free brand website SEO audit. I spend a half an hour with you going over your brand online, letting you know what's working, what's not working. I hope that this was super helpful. I am super passionate about strategy, because if you're not going through strategy, if you're not communicating this, then basically you have there's no content. Your content is generic. We want to make it unique. We want to make it special. You are welcome, everybody. So, oh, thanks, Desiree. I really try to give people so much value, because I'm a person that I personally am not going to do something unless I see I'm not going to make a change unless I understand why it needs to be changed. So I like to share that with other people. Thank you so much for joining, and we have a Q&A. Happy to answer anybody's questions they might have. If you have any questions about strategy or how to position yourself, and even strategy can also help your SEO, because really writing good content to tell your unique story, and then doing research to, find those key words that line up with what you're delivering. So keywords, there's so many